I've come for two reasons. First of all, to assist the campaign, because what has been said, Baron is absolutely right. You never win unless you have a popular campaign. And we've got to make the need for adult education and proper funding as important as all the other things that are in the newspapers about how many asylum seekers have they managed to get rid of since Monday, all the things that fill the papers. And adult education is the thing that really changes the character of a society. So that's my first job, is to make clear to you that insofar as I can, I've left Parliament now, but I left Parliament to devote more time to politics, and this is a cause I believe in. And I'll tell you why. My wife taught adult education all her life. She was American, came over here, we married in 1949. She taught at the Open University, she was on the Inner London Education Authority, she was chairman of her local comprehensive school for 12 years, on the Board of Governors for about 20 years, and all her life till she was 70 she taught in adult education. And what has just been said is what I used to hear when I went to the college, as I still do, and heard the people commenting on the value of it. The other reason I'm interested in it is because of my own experience. I mean, experience is the only real teacher. I mean, when you come to school you learn about your experience and understand it. But if you look at the difference between the world in which I was born in 1925 and the world today, you realise the absolutely vital importance of adult education. When I was born, England was so boring. There were nothing but whites. They were all eating fish and chips, watching cricket, and now my two granddaughters at a primary school in London with 77 nationalities in the school and a refugee centre in the school. Now, if at my age, I've got to catch up with them. And that's one way of doing it, studying about the communities that come in. The other thing that changed my life, I offer it to, I realised something one day, and it was this. Every day we learn something. You get up in the morning, you learn something, you go to bed, you know something. But that same day, 6 billion people in the world have all learned something. So when you go to bed at night, you're relatively more ignorant than when you woke up that morning. Because, well, I'm not kidding. And whenever I go to schools and universities, I always say to all these students who graduated, you know less now you've graduated from this university of what there is to be known than when you came here. And the teachers don't like it very much. But it's true, the importance of that is this. Nobody can know everything, but you've got to learn to think. You can find things out on Google. You've got to understand it and think about it. And the third thing is the need for adult education. I once made a speech saying we should raise the school leaving age to 65. And I got an absolutely furious letter from a pensioner in Liverpool. He said, "Tony, I'm 92 and I've just done an Open University degree. Will you raise the school leaving age to cover me?" So I wrote back and said, "Okay. School leaving age to 95," and he was satisfied. You see, this idea that education is cramming something into you when you're young is a load of nonsense. I think everybody's a genius, and the purpose of education is to bring out the genius in everybody, and that means encouragement. I think one of the worst aspects of the society in which we live is everybody is being put down all the time. You're naming and shaming. I went to have my pacemaker put in last summer. I heard the Prime Minister speak at the Labour conference, got up to go to the loo and collapsed. I don't know if it had any connection, but anyway, they took me to hospital, they gave me a pacemaker. When I was there, the hospital was really demoralised, and I said, "Why?" And they said, "We are listed as the worst hospital in Britain." Well, you can imagine the effect that had on their morale. So when I wrote and thanked them afterwards, I sent a copy of every letter of thanks to the Secretary of State for Health, so that at least he knew. But you see, this idea, that's what the 11 plus is about. Some people have to fail so other people can succeed. And the thing I realise at my age, I'm 81 now, I remember my teachers who encouraged me. We all need more encouragement. We need less of the failing and naming and shaming and targets. Targets are a disaster. Anyway, a target's something you fire at. And if you have a target of bright kids, are you shooting at them? I don't know. So that is a part of, that's what adult education is all about. And I think that it allows people to learn the new world, because there's something else about the need for adult education. All the technology that I learned as a kid is completely obsolete. I mean, I don't think my great-grandchildren, when I have them, will even know what a typewriter is, because everything's on computers. I keep tape recordings, but tape recorders are out of date. We've got to go now on a DVD or a CD, and the technology changes. People have to be able to learn the new technology in order to be able to do a job. And I said something else. I read the other day that in 2074, by which time I hope I'm dead, there will be 1.2 million people living over 100 years old. Now, what the hell are you going to do? We've all got to work till we're 68. Well, I went on till I was 78, but I can understand. What do you do between 68 and dying? What are you going to do? You go to adult education. And then one argument I find quite intolerable. It was said to me once by a journalist, why should I, as a taxpayer, said to me, why should I pay for women to do flower arranging? What is the point of it? The very point you took up. So I said, well, think very carefully. If you've never had a fire in your house, why should you pay for the fire brigade? I said. If you haven't any children, why should you pay for education? I might have added, if you're against the war in Iraq, why should you pay for the Ministry of Defence? But the truth of the matter, the truth of the matter is this. The welfare state is a different concept of a society. And the concept of the welfare state is very, very simple. It's that everybody, but everybody, benefits from the education and the health of everybody else. When I go to see my doctor, which I try not to do because she's very, very busy, I benefit from her education. I mean, if she makes $1 million, which I doubt if she will, she could pay tax on it. But I benefit. We all benefit from the health and education of everybody, and that's why it should be properly funded. And once you start this business of having to pay for it, be very careful. Begins with students now have to pay to go to university. Now, it won't be long before they say to me, now, we know you need a triple bypass, Mr. Benn. We're quite happy to give it to you, but you'll have to take out a loan. Well, at 81, taking out a loan for my triple bypass was ridiculous. But they're gradually letting the financial question creep into everything till, in the end, the welfare state could easily be dismantled. And anyway, there is tons of money about. I mean, not only the war, for a fraction of the cost of the war, everyone in Africa with AIDS could have had free drugs. For a fraction of the cost of the war, America could have protected New Orleans from the Katrina hurricane. For a fraction of the cost of the war, all these cuts in adult education could easily be replaced. And that's what the campaign is about. Now, when we go out and argue this, because if you're going to win this battle, we've got to take it out into the streets, get it into the media, and so on and so on. Make it a very broad argument. It's about the whole. We're not just talking about a few people who are having less time doing English or computing. It's about the whole nature of our society. That's what adult education is about. And if you put it like that, everybody is interested. Because people who may never have thought of it, discovering that there is a course in this or that, may come back and find, like that lovely speech we've just heard. I thought that was a wonderful speech. Somebody's life transformed by adult education. So we are engaged in a very high, an important project to enrich the lives of people through sharing our experience and making facilities available so people can develop more of their genius than they would otherwise realize was there. And if you put it like that, my God, you wouldn't find anyone in the street who wasn't entirely in support. So good luck, and if I can help, let me know. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Before we close, I would just like to say thank you to all of the guest speakers. Alan, Fatma, well done, thank you. And Tony Benn. I would also like to say special thanks to Norman Ellis. Could you stand up, please, Norman? Neil Vogel. Stand up, Neil. Adrian Whittaker. And Louis Lariano, who's not here at the moment. They've all worked tirelessly to organise this rally, and they campaign to fight for the reduction of 1.4 million in adult education. To close, the aim of this rally was for us all to unite and ask for a review on the funding cuts. But not only at this college, but all colleges across the United Kingdom. So let's all get up, let's stand up for our rights. Thank you.
Get up, stand up for your right. Get up, stand up for your right. Get up, stand up for your right. Get up, stand up, don't give up the fight.